Education. The House Education and Workforce Committee will come to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Chair DeBoer.
Here.
Representatives Linting. Here. Paquette.
I'm here.
Fox.
Present.
Coons.
Here.
St. Germain. Here. Pablo.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Kozar.
Here.
Weiss. Here. Burns. Present. Madam Chair, you have 11 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Vice Chair Linting moves to adopt the minutes of the March 5th meeting without objection. The minutes are adopted. We'll now take up House Bill 4147, sponsored by Representative Steele. Welcome, Representative Steele. Please begin when you are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate you allowing me to testify today. Thank you to the chair. And I'll be quick and brief. I know you like that. I'm Donnie Steele, and I'm the state representative for District 54, and I'm here to speak on House Bill 4147. And this bill would allow the additions to the State School Aid Act of 1979 for districts conducting school consolidation feasibility studies to be expanded. It's a mouthful. This Consolidation Act has roughly $5 million annually available for local school districts and ISDs to do feasibility studies on consolidating services. This House Bill 4147 would include additional administrative functions to be studied for consolidating. And the administrative functions that are included, let me repeat that. Administrative functions which may include, but are not limited to, those performed by superintendents, and the services included, but not limited to, food, janitorial, and maintenance services. So basically, it's just expanding the opportunity to apply for grants to do consolidating studies for local school districts and ISDs. So that's my testimony. So, and I'm just, right now, there's about half of those grants half of them have been utilized since January. So there's close to $2.5 million still available for schools to do these consolidating grant studies. And the maximum a grant can be given is $250,000 per district for these studies. So, and it's only for local schools and ISDs. And it's just allowing the school districts to be more efficient and to use their funding for the students' boots on the ground versus administrative costs.
Yeah, great, thank you. Are there any questions? Yes. Representative Weiss, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative, for your testimony. I understand the purpose of it, and I think that makes sense to be able to do evaluation for additional consolidation. The only question I have, though, is the budget that we just passed out of the House last week did not include any funding for consolidation. So I guess my question is just like, what would the purpose be of having a study if we're not planning on including funding for consolidating services moving forward?
Thank you for your question, but I don't believe we passed a budget. We just passed a backup plan.
The FY26 budget that passed out of the House last week didn't include funding for it. So I was just trying to understand why we would be including expansion to do the service if we don't have funding currently proposed to back it up.
I don't believe it was a budget. It was just a plan in the event that we have to keep our services going in the event we don't come up with a finalized budget by October 1st. So it's a plan. It's a backup plan.
Any other questions? Oh, Representative Fox.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Rep. Steele. So 2 questions. One, does this assessment include transportation? You know, I often am leaving home at 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, and including this morning, and I'm just staying with my sister 15 minutes away, and I trip across 2 buses on the way, and, you know, and I often wonder, what are kids doing up and out this early in the morning? They're gonna get run over. But, so it's transportation question. Is that part of your assessment? My other question is, because I keep bouncing into this, are the impacts of non-public schools and homeschools being considered in this assessment? With the decrease in enrollment, which, is from a variety of factors. I mean, one being people moving away from our state because our businesses are leaving and so people are leaving. But also decrease in enrollment attaches directly, I think, to people going to non-public schools and to homeschools. So I'm just asking, are those part of this assessment also?
Thank you, Rep. Fox. I think that would be a nice amendment to my bill, so I think you guys have the ability to amend that bill to allow other schools other than the local public schools and the ISDs. So to answer that question, and to answer the other question regarding buses, the way that it reads is includes but not limited to these service functions. So I think it would be what the districts deem as included but not limited to allow transportation.
Thank you.
No other questions? Okay, thank you. Then we will read some cards. We have David Randalls, not wishing to speak, supports the bill from Oakland Schools. We have Olivia Ponte, not wishing to speak, supports the bill from the Michigan Department of Education. We have Beth Deschone, not wishing to speak, who supports the bill also. Thank you. So Vice Chair Linting moves to report House Bill 4147 with recommendation. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chair DeWart,
Yes.
Representatives Linting,
Yes.
Head,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Coons.
Yes.
St. Germain,
Yes.
Pavlo,
Yes.
Wilson,
Pass.
Colzar,
Yes.
Weiss,
Pass.
Burns.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays, 2 pass. The motion prevails.
Thank you. Moving on, we'll now take up House Bill 4148, sponsored by Representative Cavitt. Today, we are joined by Representative Cavitt and Adam Hagedorn from his office. Please begin when you are ready. Happy to have you for testimony, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee. Appreciate the opportunity here today. I'm here to testify in strong support of my bill, House Bill 4148, which proposes a long overdue reform to how Michigan selects members of the State Board of Education. As it stands today, members of the State Board of Education are nominated by political parties at their convention without any guarantee that different regions of our state have any voice at the table. This process has led to a board that more often than not is heavily dominated by individuals from our most populated regions, leaving rural and northern Michigan vastly underrepresented. This bill changes that, and it's about time. What this bill does is simple. It divides our state into 4 districts, ensuring that when political parties nominate candidates for the State Board of Education, those candidates represent every corner of Michigan, not just a few cities. It mandates that parties nominate candidates from all 4 districts on a rotating schedule, guaranteeing that rural, northern, and less populated regions have a fair shot at representation. The impact of this bill is enormous. Today, the board often makes critical decisions about curriculum standards, funding priorities, and statewide educational policies that impact every classroom in Michigan. Yet the voices of rural and northern communities are frequently drowned out by urban-centered decision-making. We've seen it time and again. Our schools in Northeast Michigan face vastly different challenges than those in Wayne County. Our rural districts struggle with transportation funding, declining enrollment, and broadband access, challenges that are rarely front and center in discussions at the State Board of Education. By requiring that nominees come from different regions, this bill ensures that the lived experience of students and educators in all parts of the state are represented at the table. It will force political parties to recruit and elevate leaders from northern Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, and other rural communities, rather than defaulting to candidates from major metropolitan areas. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir. Do we have some questions? Representative Burns.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
So a question for you. I know this bill is meant to take us from kind of a statewide to a district model. Are there other states with a population that's spread out similar to Michigan that have implemented a similar model? If so, what have the outcomes been? Are they demonstrably positive, for our students and our schools? Just curious about
Yeah,
that.
thank you, Rep. Burns. I'm not exactly sure on that, but we'll certainly get back to you with that ASAP.
Okay, thank you. I'd be interested in that information.
Yeah, me
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
Representative Fox.
Yes, sir, and thank you again. And thank you, Rep. Cavitt. I guess two questions I have. One is there been a consideration, since this is an 8-member board, consideration to have this be some type of odd number for the number of board members to avoid a tie vote type thing? And so maybe an at-large membership or something down that line? So that's my first question. My second question is basically who drew these lines? I think I would draw them a little bit differently if I was going to draw them with the metropolitan areas in mind. And I just find it really funny. I grew up in Jackson County, but now I live in Newaygo County, and I'm still part of the same pot. And
Yes.
Jackson and Newaygo are quite different, and as Ingham and Clinton are quite different than the UP, okay?
Yes, thanks for the questions, Rep. Fox. As far these districts are, the 4 districts are drawn to mimic the Court of Appeals board. So to avoid controversy, we used the Court of Appeals as a model, so we didn't have to get into how did you get this type of district drawing.
Sorry, I didn't read that on your thing. It's here.
It's okay. What was the first question? Oh, no, and as far as the numbers, we did not change it. Again, trying to avoid controversy, we left the same amount of people in that are currently in right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Rep. Fox.
Well, hopefully, maybe for your consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Weiss.
Thank you. I had the same question in terms of just the rationale for why the districts were picked the way they were. I guess my concern here is that obviously there is a political element to this, because these, whoever, and including in this, currently and also in this bill, the candidates are nominated by a political party. And in looking at these districts, it seems like this would disproportionately benefit one party over another, and I just didn't know if that was part of the rationale, or if you could speak to that more.
No is the answer to that. It's not
Okay.
part of the rationale.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for questions. Then we'll go to the cards. We have Beth DeShone, who does not wish to speak and supports the bill. We have Rachel Crow from the Michigan Education Justice Coalition, who does not wish to speak, who opposes the bill. We have Angela Pias from the Detroit Hispanic Development Corporation, I hope I didn't murder that name, who does not wish to speak, who opposes the bill. We have Molly Sweeney, the Director of Organizing, 482 Forward. She does not wish to speak and opposes the bill. We have Amani Foster, who does not wish to speak and opposes the bill from 482 Forward. And we have Tinu Usoro, I'm so sorry, who does not wish to speak and opposes the bill. Hopefully they'll talk to me after I don't pronounce their name right. Olivia Ponte from the Michigan Department of Education, who does not wish to speak and opposes the bill. So, Vice Chair Linting moves to report House Bill 4148. Thank you, gentlemen. With recommendation, would the clerk please call the roll?
Chair DeBoer,
Yes.
Representative Linting. Yes. Kett,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Coons.
Yes.
St. Germain. Yes. Pavlov,
Yes.
Wilson,
No.
Colzar,
No.
Weiss,
No.
Burns,
No.
Madam Chair, you have 7 yeas, 4 nays, 0 pass. The motion prevails.
Thank you. Next, we'll now take up House Bill 4149, sponsored by Representative Kuhn. Rep. Kuhn, please take a seat. And we do have an H1 substitute for this bill. In the original bill, schools would have to provide an executive summary in the substitute. Schools would be required to provide a notification of the Michigan school data to parents and legal guardians of students. So Vice Chair Linting moves to adopt the H1 substitute to House Bill 4149. Will the clerk please call the roll on H1 substitute?
Chair DeBoer,
Yes.
Representatives Linting,
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Coons,
Yes.
St. Germain,
Yes.
Pavlo,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Bozark,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 11 yeas, 0 nays, 0 pass. The motion prevails.
Thank you. Representative Kuhn, please begin when you are ready.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, committee members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on House Bill 4149, which I introduced to improve transparency and to empower parents by expanding access to Michigan's My School Data website. As legislators, we often hear from parents who want to better understand how their child's school is performing. But many don't even know that a state-run website already exists with comprehensive data on school performance, student outcomes, district accountability. That's unacceptable. Parents should have easy access to this information, not have to dig through governmental websites to find it. This bill does two simple things. Requires all public schools to post a link to the Michigan School Data Parent Dashboard on their website by July 1, 2026, so parents can easily find and use the platform. Ensures that starting July 1, 2027, schools must send parents an annual notification of key school performance metrics, so families can track how their child's school is doing year over year. This is not about adding bureaucracy or burdening schools. It's about making existing data more accessible so parents can be informed advocates for their children. Schools will also benefit by identifying areas for improvement and fostering stronger engagement with families. Other states, including Florida and Texas, have already taken steps to increase school data accessibility. And Michigan should not be left behind. Transparency leads to better schools, better outcomes, and better accountability. At the end of the day, parents deserve to know how their child's school is performing. And House Bill 4149 ensures that they will get that information in a clear and direct way. I urge your support for this common sense, bipartisan measure to bring greater transparency and accountability to Michigan schools. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. We have questions from Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is, we currently, you mentioned we currently have a system in place now for transparency. What would be different about what you're proposing compared to what is already in place?
Well, it's on the state website. This requires the local schools to actually put it on their website so the parents have a better access to that data. I mean, it's just making it easier for parents.
Most of the schools already have it on their website.
Well, that would be great.
currently,
If
so-
they all do, that would make this bill unnecessary. But at this point, there are a lot of schools that do not, and it's important, I think, to make sure that all of them follow the standard that, you know, some of our schools are already doing. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Representative Fox.
Thank you again, Madam Chair, and thank you, Rep. Kuhn. Just a couple things. I applaud you for your desire for transparency, and it's good to know that we have some place to check out, and I'm going to do some checking out in my local district. But I do have One comment, I do agree 100% that parents are primarily responsible, and anything we can do to get parents involved in education, we need to be doing it. But having worked in a very rural situation, especially with older adults, and parents get included in this, we don't have broadband, it means nothing to put out a website. You know, could we require these schools to put out availability of some place they can go to figure this out? I mean, for some people to look at a computer is scary, okay? And I'm talking about parents in my neck of the woods. Can we take it a step further so that rural parents, I will call them, can have access to this information?
Thank you, Rep. Fox. Part of the bill requires annual notice by the schools to parents about the information in the website. So how that is done, it isn't laid out there, but I'm sure, I would hope that most school districts would use the most effective manner to reach their parents.
It's not always the case. I can tell you that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you. That is it for questions. And then we'll go to the cards. We have a card from Jeff Cobb, who is from the Education Trust Midwest. He does not wish to speak. He supports the bill. We have David Randalls from Oakland Schools. He does not wish to speak, and he does support the bill. Beth Deschone from the Great Lakes Education Project does not wish to speak, and she supports the bill. So now Vice Chair Linting moves to report House Bill 4149 as substitute H1 with recommendation. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chair DeBoer,
Yes.
Representative Linting,
Yes.
Paquette,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Coons, St. Germain,
Yes.
Pavlo,
Yes.
Wilson,
Pass.
Colzar,
Pass.
Weiss,
Pass.
Burns.
Pass.
Madam Chair, you have 7 yeas, 0 nays, 4 pass. The motion prevails.
Thank you. Continuing, we'll now take up House Bill 4154, sponsored by Representative BeGole, who I understand is in another committee right now. So today, to testify, we have Daniel McMaster with his office. Mr. McMaster, please begin when you are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee, for hearing House Bill 4154 today. As the Madam Chair mentioned, Representative BeGole is in judiciary right now and couldn't get out to come down. So I will testify. This is a real simple bill. It amends the Post-Secondary Enrollment Options Act to include trade schools as an option for dual enrollment. So you're in high school, you're a senior. If maybe you're ISD or there isn't a community college, but there is some kind of trade school in your neighborhood, in your area, that offers a certificate or some kind of graduation degree, it allows you to leave high school and attend some of those classes. An example for us in Shiawassee County, our ISD does have a vocational trade school. We are also home to the Labor's Institute La Una. Many of you have probably seen it on I-69 by Perry. You drive by it if you're coming in that way. They offer programs, and this lets those individuals who are not going on to college, who are going to go machine operators, be bricklayers, whatever, to get a head start. There's other examples. There's a welding school, trade school up in Elma. There's a building and construction school here in Lansing. I know in the eastern Upper Peninsula in Hessel and Cedarville, there's a boat building school. There's a culinary school. They offer certificates. They're not associated with a public school or a college, but they do exist, and it's an option for employment. Any questions?
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We already have CTE programs in place. They offer skilled trades education and training. So why do we need to add trades education and training as a dual enrollment option? Do you see this taken away from our current CTE education?
No, I mean I would look at it as additional. I mean there's some circumstances, some locations where this would work.
Representative Colzar.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
My question has to do with the definition of trade, or when we talk about the trades where it's, or trade school, where it says useful employment in recognized occupations. It seems a little vague, and I'm just curious if you could be more specific as to what that, like, what is a useful occupation? How do we define that?
I don't really have an answer for that. Maybe that's something that we need to define more closely.
Representative Weiss. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Anyone else? No? Okay, thank you. Good points. Thank you. So we will read in the cards. Robert Jorig from the Michigan Laborers District Council. He does not wish to speak, and he supports the bill. Dave Waltheis from the Michigan Manufacturing Association does not wish to speak. He supports the bill. Beth DeShone from the Great Lakes Education Project does not wish to speak, but supports the bill. And Eric Chappelle from ABC of Michigan does not wish to speak and supports the bill. Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Linting moves to refer House Bill 4154 to the House Committee on Rules. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chair DeBoer?
Yes.
Representatives Linting?
Yes.
Heck?
Yep.
Fox?
Yep.
Coons?
Aye.
St. Germain?
Yes.
Pavlo?
Yes.
Wilson?
Pass.
Colzar?
Pass.
Weiss?
Pass.
Burns?
Pass.
Madam Chair, you have 7 yeas, 0 nays, 4 pass. The motion prevails.
Thank you. So for the final item on today's agenda, we'll now take up House Joint Resolution E, sponsored by Representative Schuette. Representative Schuette, please begin when you are ready, fresh from your other meeting, just in time. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chair DeBoer and Vice Chairs Wilson and Linting, members of the committee. I appreciate your opportunity today to testify on behalf of House Resolution E, which allows for the governor to appoint the state superintendent. This resolution, it's lettered E, but I think it's appropriate when you think about the grade our state is receiving in public education. It should be an F, a failing grade. Our third grade reading scores, our math, and our testing results, they do not measure up. And at the same time, you look across the country, we are one of the only states that has a so-called independent head of its education department. And I believe that this, in practice, has removed an important element of accountability from our state's public education system. So I think by adopting this resolution and having a superintendent who is appointed by the governor, who is elected by the people, we can restore some form of accountability to that department. I think a responsibility of all of us in the legislature should be to work to improve our state's education outcomes and improve accountability in education. I think that this is part of the equation. I understand that the threshold for amending our state's constitution is high, but I think that the merit and the need is clear. So I'd ask for your support, and I would welcome any questions.
Any questions for Representative Schuette? Representative Weiss.
Thank you, Representative. Appreciate your testimony. Can you speak to why the claim that you just made that this will improve accountability? Obviously, Michigan is a very purple state. Governors tend to be R's one time and then D's and back and forth and back and forth. The state school board has a little bit more consistency. So can you speak to potential concerns about having that position be a little bit more, potentially a little bit more partisan if it is indeed appointed by the sitting governor as opposed to the state school board?
Yeah, thank you, Representative, for that question. And I would say, first off, I think that the structure that we have right now is actually the hyper-partisan model, because we have a state board of education that is elected by candidates who are nominated at party conventions, and then they appoint the state superintendent. I think having a governor who is elected by the people every 4 years improves the accountability of that process, because when we're looking at how are the metrics of how our public schools are performing, or if you have a governor who wants to implement reforms or changes, and that person has a mandate directly from the people and the governor, I think that is a better way to execute that accountability and make sure that it's starting from the top with the governor and the buck stops there. And just like with our other departments, like natural resources or Eagle or any of our other state departments, they answer to the governor and to the people. I think that would be a more direct way of accomplishing that goal.
I could just ask a quick follow-up if that's all right.
Yeah.
Just following up on that, in the state constitution, the state superintendent does report to the board. So do you see potential conflict there if the board did not appoint this person, but they're required to report to the board, and how that would work?
Yeah, I think this resolution would adopt and change that so they report to the governor. But I would also be in favor of eliminating the State Board of Education, so that's I think a discussion that we can also have. Look forward to having that be for the committee someday as well.
My reading of the language, the state superintendent would still report to the board, not to the.
Okay, I mean they can report to the board, but be appointed by the governor. I think there's still the means of accountability, and if we need to, again, I think there should be further reforms to the State Board of Education as well. I think that the State Board of Education should be appointed by the governor as well. So I think that there's a lot of work that we need to do from that. So.
Thank you. Representative Fox.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Rep. Schuette. And let me preface my questions with, I am not a fan of the words bipartisan or nonpartisan. I think they are some of the most overused words in Lansing that I often walk away wondering what in the world do they mean by that, okay? And so a question was asked here earlier when we were talking about the State Board of Education being gathered in a political fashion. You know, how do we get past politics in education? Now I'm at my question. And do we need some type of DOGE oversight, D-O-G-E, oversight in our situation, you know? And if we look at our scores, et cetera, as you listed some of them, I would love your just opinion on that. You're not afraid to share your thoughts and opinions.
No, I'm certainly not Representative Fox, and I think there could be a lot of nominees for the most overly used term in Lansing. But I appreciate your nomination for the role. Maybe our friends at MERS can help us with a full list. I think on as far as talking about the Department of Education, ways that we can improve accountability, I think we're failing our kids. Right, we're ranking in the bottom 10 in the country right now. That's why I said we have a failing grade, and clearly what we're doing is not working. Clearly having the mechanism of a state board of education and a state superintendent who are out of touch with the results that they're providing is a huge problem, and I think that this is one step of which I know we have a host of different legislative items to improve outcomes and accountability for our public education.
Thank you. Representative Paquette.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick comment for Rep. Schuette. He's a history guy, and I appreciate returning to a time in particular if we have a governor who appoints our state superintendent. Our first governor appointed the state superintendent, John D. Pierce, at that point in time, and I think it had a significant impact on our system of education. He was called the Horace Man of his day, and returning to a time that's similar to that, I think would be phenomenal. So thank you for your efforts in this.
No, I appreciate that, Representative Paquette. And yeah, we're one of 6 states in the entire country that does it this way. And if you look at the top performing states, according to the NEAP results, they all have a governor-appointed head of education. So I think that there's a lot of room to return to our roots and follow models that have been working in other states across the country. So thank you.
Thank you. That is it for questions. We'll move. Oh, I'm sorry. You have a question? Representative Weiss, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, and I apologize in advance, Madam Chair. This is more of a statement than a question. And this isn't meant to be partisan. This is actually directed to everyone on both sides of the aisle. I think that when we create systems in which we're constantly creating change in education, we are making things worse because it's really hard to adapt to that change. And for those of us who've been in classrooms before, we've seen the push and pull of that. And so my concern really here is you're setting up a system in which you'll have, because of the purpleness of our state, a Republican governor appointing someone, and then a few years later, a Democratic governor, and then the constant push and pull, I think, would be detrimental for outcomes in our state. And again, whether or not I agree with the change, constant change is not good when it comes to education. We need to make sure that we're making thoughtful policy decisions that are going to have a long-term impact, and then really sticking those out and seeing what the long-term results of those are before we make drastic shifts from one year to the next.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, yes, Representative Paquette.
If I may, and not to have a comment that's partisan, would be, I think that we do have a long track record, because I agree with you, Rep. Weiss, completely with regard to the shifting sands that we have in our education system in the classroom, and things are always changing, and teachers are just waiting, when are they going to change this back, SAT, ACT, all those things. Yet, in this regard, we've had a pretty blue state superintendent for some time now, especially since '63, when this kind of state board election got ushered in. So I think a change here might warrant some good things and good fruits down the road.
I mean, we're 42nd in the country right now. I think a change is warranted. So,
Everyone okay for questions? Can we call a truce and go to a vote? Okay, no, we're going to entertain the cards now. Eric Chappelle from ABC of Michigan does not wish to speak, supports the bill. Oh, these are wrong cards. One moment, please. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to do Rochelle Crow from Michigan Education Justice Coalition. Does not wish to speak, opposes the bill. Amani Foster from 482 Forward does not wish to speak and opposes the bill. Molly Sweeney, Director of Organizing, 482 Forward, does not wish to speak, opposes the bill. Angela Rice from Detroit Hispanic Development Corporation does not wish to speak, opposes the bill. Andrew Renal from somewhere in Michigan does not wish to speak and opposes the bill. Taino Osaro does not wish to speak and opposes the bill. Olivia Ponte from the Michigan Department of Education does not wish to speak and opposes the bill. So thank you. Vice Chair Linting moves to refer House. Whoops, sorry. And for the final, we already did that. So now we're doing, there will be no further business before the committee. The House Committee on Education and Workforce will stand adjourned.